we're building this company for the next generation of leaders. Vin and I, we are not attached, if our names are attached to this over the long term, or people think of us about the company. Like, I think the unexpected thing we found is just how much fulfillment there is in seeing our clinic directors, our lead therapists, our operating leads, everyone just becoming the best version of themselves. And I think in the early days, it's hard to see that because you don't have enough years to watch the team grow. So much has been just about letting the journey be what the journey is going to be and not getting in the way.
Alrighty, gentlemen, it's been a long time coming. Been wanting to record this conversation for such a long time. Really feeling blessed to have the privilege of actually telling the story and sharing it with the world. Very long overdue. So let's just kick it off with just talking about how y'all met each other. As far back as you can go, some of those first interactions with each other. Kick us off, Ben.
I mean, Scott was my patient. So I remember him coming in. I think he was struggling with back pain. When you're in a therapy session, usually the patient complains to you, about their issues. But, as I got close with Scott, I started complaining to him about my issues with the company and the clinic and stuff like that. And then, Scott ended up wanting to work with me, being like, yo, I'll help you with that. And then that's kind of like how our relationship started. So.
Yeah. I remember my first session, I show up at City Place, and this was still when there was the barbershop downstairs.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 1 PM, and it was pitch black. And like the door's locked. Like, where is this guy? And I see someone like moving in the shadows. And Vin opens the door. It looks like he just got out of bed. He's like sipping a Red Bull, backwards hat, Jordan slides.
That sounds about right.
That was my first session with him. But yeah, just was so impressed with just his humanity.
Yeah.
The thing that was so different, because I'd been seeing therapists for a few years, was just like he just related, connected, and was like, I've never felt someone care about me so deeply. Despite the $100 table I was getting treated on and like nothing on the walls, I just fell in love with it, and I started coming back every single week. And then I just quickly saw his passion and what he was, how he wanted the world to be, and I saw that I could help fill in the gaps on that.
So y'all meet, therapist, patient interaction, getting to know each other a bit better, and then all of a sudden you wanna build Myodetox, you wanna build something together. The world's touched and felt this, and more people are gonna touch and feel it, but take us back to, what were some of the early conversations? Why did you even decide to do this thing together?
I mean, I'll speak for myself. Like, I think that I have my talents and what I'm good at. I had a clear vision of how I wanted the world to be, but I never really had any plan at all. I still currently don't even have a plan, to be quite honest with you. So I would always be like, hey, like, I want to go here, and then I would kind of like fumble my way into figuring out how to get there. But the minute Scott kind of locked onto the team, it was like, yo, Scott, like, I want to go here. This is my end goal. He'd be like, all right, let me map A, B, C, 3, all the 15 steps I need to get from point A to point B. So then he would just basically figure it out. And then, because of a relationship like this, I have the end vision, and he just kind of just, fill in the blanks, so to speak. So.
I remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I don't think there was a grand intention of like, hey, we're going to build this company. It was really, he needed help with the first clinic. I think my first title was actually director of ops, because we were just like, thought it was going to be one clinic.
Yeah.
And yeah, just going back, there was something in the purity of like what he wanted to do and the vision. And I could just see, the couple therapists that were already working there, like they saw the world the same way. So it just got me excited. And I was like 25 years old at the time. I'd never had a business. But what I'd love to do is just solve problems. And I could see there's very clear problems stacking up that he was, in our sessions we were talking about. And I was like, I can do that. So even before we were partners, for a couple months, I was just helping out. Wasn't being paid. I was just like, hey, I just want to learn more about the business because it's super interesting. And just one thing led to another. And then it just became so clear after a few months, like the energy, we're just completely different people in terms of strengths and weaknesses. And it just started working. And then we're like, okay, let's just like one step after each other, another. Here we are.
Yeah. So some of those, earliest experiences, like I hear a lot of thought leaders just talk about, businesses and how they grow and scale, and those first couple of employees, that early energy is really what makes it, continue to grow and build. And just talk to me about some of those earliest adopters, the earliest people that joined the team, how important were they to the growth of Myodetox?
I mean, what's amazing to me as a company is imaginary. But there's actually no such thing as a company. It is a shared belief that we all have. Those first 2, 3, 5 people, the reason why it's so important is we are all agreeing to believe the same thing. And whether we all see the world the same way or that we're gonna operate under this banner, right? Everything in the world is made up. Countries, cities, like there's no realness to it until somebody believes. And that's what happened. Like Vin had that belief, but until it started to be caught on by other people, we had nothing. That's where it started. Right? That was the fire starter for all of it. And yeah, look back at a lot of those early team members are no longer with us. You know, people have chapters in their lives, but without them believing and starting to kind of go along the same direction that we were going on, we wouldn't be here. Right. So it's so critical that they were there for us.
Got it. So when you think about those early folks, like, can you think about one person that really?
I mean, there's a few, but like I would say definitely my first employee was Boris, and then my love for him is infinite because without him being like the Robin to my Batman at the time, like my second general, we wouldn't be where we are right now. You know what I mean? Not only did he push the pace and not only in terms of revenue, but also in terms of motivation. Sometimes some days I was tired, but seeing him run as fast as I ran made me reinvigorated. But yeah, and to the point of what Scott was talking about, like shared belief, it is crazy for me to have an idea and then people would actually rally behind me and be like, yeah, that's actually a great idea. Yeah. And then also I think at the beginning it's so pure because there was no money. It was basically just words and thoughts. And I was like, yo, I think this is gonna be it. This can be a real thing. And everyone's like, yeah. So that's definitely like a awesome feeling that can never be replicated, obviously, as the company grows bigger and becomes more corporate.
Right. Yeah. So I think some of that, if we think about timeline, some of that early infancy is like 2014, 2015. Today we're 2023, completely different company, completely shed 14 layers of skin to get to this point. Talk to me about 2015 Myodetox versus 2023 Myodetox. Like, how is Myo, if we thought about Myo as a person, how's a person evolved?
2015, it was a group of kids running around trying to shake hands. We were nothing. Like in so many ways, it was just energy. We were flying to LA with no reason why we should be spending money to fly to LA. We were I look back at the memories and the photos that we went through earlier too, and we had no idea what we were doing. There's no direction. It was just about chasing what felt right. And strategy? What strategy? It was really, let's go here, let's do that. And I think that's so needed, when you're trying to build something that's never been built before. It is a period of exploration. A lot of companies die in that exploration because there's nothing to be found. I think for us in those early years, it was great that we were young, we had no kids, we had no mortgages, we just went and we just tried to figure it out, and we were broke most of the time, if not in debt. And that, I think, built a lot of the nucleus of us getting a direction. And then, to compare to 2023, the intentionality, the direction, the strategy, and the discipline, I would say is the other thing. We used to say yes to everything. Now we say no to everything. It's so intentional. Like if we're going to spend our time, our energy, our team's attention on something, it has to be so well thought through. And that was a completely different scenario back in 2015, 2016. But that is, I think, the natural evolution of a company.
Yeah, I mean, it's just back in the days, it was like $1 and a dream. And it's the truth is actually no dollar and a dream. And just like seeing how everyone has grown in the company, and even myself, obviously Scott, you, it's just crazy because you just see the evolution over time, the growth, the maturity, how we operate as humans, us being frantic to being like calm, cool, collected during different situations. In some ways it's like experience, but also like, I want to use the word weathered, but also seasoned. It's like both, you know what I mean? It's like part of it is like, I've just been here before. It's easy. It's nothing. It just rolls off our back, But it's kind of like how I feel,
Yeah, I remember some of those early days. telling my mom, me, Vin, Scott, we're gonna go out to LA, treat some people, have some, shake some hands, have some meetings. She would just always act like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what's happening out there? And like,
Yeah.
I'm definitely, like a real life proponent of the idea around like, less strategy, more energy. And in that magic phase, like you just can't try to puzzle it in, too early. It really hinders the magic that's happening at the time. So I remember a lot of early memories, just like not necessarily knowing what I was following y'all to do.
Yeah.
It just felt right. It felt like a sense of, you always say you just got to show up.
Yeah.
And those often felt like my moments to just show up and learn and grow.
Yeah, and speaking of parents, like you're talking about like the beginning of Mile versus where we are now. It's like, our whole team believed, but even my own parents were like, "Yo, are you sure you know what you're doing?" Because they just kept seeing my bank account going down, me asking them for rent money, helping out, I was always consistently stressed, and they were like, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" And then it took like at least 3 to 4 years for them to finally be like, "Oh, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I see what you guys are trying to do, So, yeah, so that's also a crazy transition for me. I remember the first time, like my dad was like, "Yo, I'm proud of you." I was like,
Yo.
God damn, what? Really?
Yeah.
Crazy, So.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this earlier, it's kind of full circle doing this interview here at Myodetox West Hollywood. And I remember when your folks came here, I don't know if it was it was around the opening time. And like, if it wasn't that day he said it, I felt a different energy from the other times that I bumped into them in Toronto. They were just like, oh, like I get it. I get what he's trying to build.
No, I definitely think Markham was like the, okay, I see it.
Like,
I get you.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I get you, But definitely West Hollywood, when they saw West Hollywood, they're like, yes. Like that was definitely the moment for them. Like, oh yeah, these guys know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On West Hollywood, we're across the border. 3 of us are Canadians, building dreams in LA and trying to touch the entire world. Like this question often comes up of why LA? Why expansion? We could have stayed in Canada, continue to grow in Ontario, BC, across the country, but crossed the border, came to LA. Why LA? Why the expansion?
If you want to make it in the world of health and fitness and wellness, it's like you have to do it on the big stage, and the biggest stage of all is Los Angeles. You want to start trends around the world, and you want to really influence, culture, people's mindsets, especially in relation to, their body, or our motto, which is future-proof your body. You have to be able to do it here, because if you do it here, the whole world will follow, And I know you're a sports guy. It's very different playing for the Wizards versus playing for the Lakers. You know what I mean? The minute you become part of the Lakers, the whole world is watching. So you better hit that shot. But if you hit that shot, boy, rocket shit, So.
Yeah, I think the commonality with Vin and I is we just both really believe in being the best version of ourselves that we can be, and that applies to the company, right? Be all that you can be. We can, and I think we saw the opportunity to just have a much bigger impact on the world. And it's hard for us as Canadians because we're playing in a smaller sandbox, and we can be a big fish in a small pond. But I think very early we just saw so many signs that we had the opportunity to do so much more, and it was. Back to those early days, it wasn't necessarily a strategy of okay, we should go to LA on this specific year because of this. It just felt like we just needed to get here as soon as we could. That's the truth of it. We just loved it down here. We met so many great, amazing people who supported us to expand down here. And I think it, most importantly, it totally changed the trajectory of how we thought about the business. We just think so much bigger because we are now playing in a much, much bigger sandbox. So this company would be extremely different if we had made that decision as early as end of 2017 to come down here.
So Myo, expansion, Canada, then into LA. So, on the topic of evolution, I've had the great pleasure of watching the two of you also shed as many layers of skin, if 3 times as much skin as Myo, as people, as leaders. And, they say any great company has, some great leaders behind it, really, pushing the truth forward, getting everybody to continue to believe and, maintaining that energy. Talk to me about your own evolution as leaders. How have you seen yourself kind of grow as a leader and as a person?
I think that when I first started the company, I was very spastic. I'm obviously very energy over strategy, and as I progressed in hanging out with, growing up with all you guys, I've just became much more calmer, being able to, harness that energy. And, yes, of course, I can bring that out from time to time, but that being my default is definitely was not good overall for the company, even for myself. So learning to harness that energy was for me the biggest growth moment. Yeah.
So, I think when you're young and you have a company, and you've never done anything like this before, there is an immense amount of fear. There's an immense amount of anxiety, and it's hard to manage because you don't have enough life experience. And I think what that translates into is being overly controlling and wanting to try to control the things that you can't control. And ultimately, you come to realize there are infinite things that can go wrong in a company, and you can't plan for very many of them. So you have to get better at responding versus reacting. And I think so much of my journey as a leader has actually been acceptance. Accepting that there is so much that I just don't need to hold on as tightly. That over time, as we've built this incredible team, and we've to Vin's point, we've been through enough seasons. You start to find an ease in the operating. And, I think what comes from that maturity is recognizing that, we're building this company for the next generation of leaders. Vin and I, we are not attached if our names are attached to this over the long term, or, people think of us about the company. I think the unexpected thing we found is just how much fulfillment there is in seeing our clinic directors, our lead therapist, our operating leads, everyone just becoming the best version of themselves. And, I think in the early days, it's hard to see that because you don't have enough years to watch the team grow. So much has been just about letting the journey be what the journey is going to be, and not getting in the way. Not getting in the way.
You ever watched John Wick?
Yeah.
So there's this scene where the Russian gangster speaks to his son and goes, "John is a man of focus, commitment, sheer will. Something you don't know nothing about," right? But honestly, that line could apply to Scott. You know what I mean? Because Scott is a man of focus, commitment, sheer will. If I, just throughout my whole career of working with him, it's if he puts his mind to something, or we decide to do something, he just gets it done. Point blank, period. It doesn't matter. He's gonna run through walls. He's gonna jump over it. He's gonna dig under it. He just gets things done. And a lot of people are not willing to go to the extent of what he's willing to go to get things across the finish line. And yeah, I applaud him for that. I admire him for that. Because I'm maybe about 85%, you know what I mean, of his focus. Right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Your focus and consistency is crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
That showed me a Notion doc the other day with his nutrition routine. I'm just yo, Scott's on another level.
Yeah.
The other day he texted me at 9:30, 10 o'clock my time, East Coast time, and I respond. He's like, "You shouldn't be responding to stuff after 10 o'clock. What are you doing?" It was a trap.
Protecting the asset.
Yeah, protect the asset. This is a deep one, but I think it's important that it gets cemented in time. And I feel like we'll have this interview again 10 years from now, and you might have a different answer. But today, how do you want to be remembered?
I want the world to know that I gave my best, and did everything I could to advance this idea of movement health. And I did my best to, I want my peers and the team to know that I literally think about them every single day. I always want my team to do good. I'm always focused on their growth. I'm always focused on, and the funny thing is I recently had a child.
Congratulations, Kalia.
Yeah, Kalia, I love you, baby. Someone asked me randomly, we're in a conversation at a coffee shop, they're like, "Hey, so how does it feel to be a father?" And I'm like, to be honest with you, I feel like I've been here before. Because everything I've done with Myo and the way that I've cared about my team and everyone that joined the team, and the sense of responsibility I have towards my team and my coworkers and my teammates and literally everybody in the company, it's honestly the same thing I feel towards Kalia, except it's just my flesh and blood now. And obviously it's my daughter, but I honestly feel oh yeah, I've been here before. It's just my team, they didn't show up burping and peeing on themselves and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I want to be remembered for. Just caring about my team, caring about people, and caring about the world.
So sad.
I want to be remembered, Scott.
I want to be remembered just by inspiring the people I touch to be the best version of themselves. And I've always looked at business and Myo, especially as just a vehicle to develop the next generation of leaders. And it's the most fulfilling thing. And I also want, just so not attached to having to have a big presence. And I really want this next generation of leaders coming up that, Vinh and I are personally working with, to outshine us and exceed us and be in the spotlight because they deserve it with their skill set and mindset. And I love being in the back, coaching, developing, and supporting. So
Y'all both already kind of touched on it, but I just wanted to, create some space for you to talk to the team, like literally talking to them directly into the camera. You gotta look in the camera, but act as if you are. If you can say anything to the team, past, present, future, what would you want to tell them? What would you want them to know?
Work harder. No, I think that I would like to tell them life is beautiful, and if you really want to get the most out of life, you really got to spend a lot of time developing self-awareness and understanding where you want to go, and understanding that wherever it is that you want to go, there's a price to pay, and if you're willing to pay that price, you will get to where you want to go. That's it.
The team members of our past, I think there's just immense gratitude for them sharing some part of their careers and their lives with us. And we have seen hundreds of people come and go in the company, and I think we very much arrived at the point of realizing whether you're with us for 6 months, 6 years, or the whole journey, we're grateful for it. And every day that our team shows up and just does their best work, it collectively allows the people yet to come and join the company to have a better future. So that in the past is immensely grateful for that. For our present team, I think what I would say is I've never felt so excited or energized. Like, we've gone through so many dark times, so many ups and downs. And we just had our leadership offsite this last week, and I've never felt the company feel so calm, so focused, and so integrated. There's just a real sense of people are here to do the best work of their lives, and it's a really exciting time. And I think we'll look back at this specific chapter of Myo as some of our kind of most fun, fulfilling, exciting moments. And for the folks in the future, we just talked about this at dinner. Like, I think we're building a multi-decade company here, and I think that we've only, despite the hundreds of people that have kind of worked at Myo already, I think we're just getting started. And I think every decision we're making today is all about how do we make the employee experience, our team experience, the best in the world. And that's different if you're a therapist or you're working at our support hub team, or you're our newest FDA. But the golden thread there is we want this to be such an incredible growth experience for people, and we want them to leave so much better than when they came in. And that's the promise to our future team members. Like, we are building something really special.
You can actually have a massive impact on the world. Like, if you're willing to put in the work and really come in with like pure intentions and love and care for what you do, like, you can really change the world through what we're doing here at Myo.
Yeah, the last thing I'd say to both present and future is you get out what you put in. And I think as a company grows and it becomes more corporate, there's always this sense, I think, that a lot of people have of like, oh, I can't do that because XYZ didn't allow me, or I don't have the title, or I don't have the role, or I don't have the promotion. But this is all self-made. And I think so much of our leaders in seats today are people that went above and beyond for their team members around them, or for chasing a project, or just demonstrating that they were here to do something special. And the roles will find you. And that's one of our core values of care deeply. Like, we see that across so much of our team members, but the ones that really roll up their sleeves and say, I don't care about the title, I don't care about the comp right now, this is something I want to do to make the company a better place, and really having an owner's mentality around it. Those are many of the folks that are in leadership positions today.
Well, shout out to the good folk at Myo. Appreciate y'all. Okay, make sure my math's right. So Myo started 2015. We say 2015.
Oh, late 2014, early 2015.
2015 is easier because it'll make my math easier.
2015.
So 25 years from now, 2040, where's Myodetox?
That's in what? 25 years, you said?
25 years.
25 years.
Our 25th anniversary. We popping bottles. We party in. Our kids are a lot older. Not ready for that, but yeah. Where's Myodetox?
I think we're worldwide for sure. I think I don't want to put a number of clinics on it. Maybe Scott is the numbers guy. Maybe he'll have numbers for us. But I think like everywhere, Australia, Europe, Dubai, like Middle East, literally everywhere around the world, Myo will have a presence. And I think that we will be the most trusted source and authority in the space of, healthcare, right? Like people will come to us because they know that we care more than every other healthcare company. They come to us because they know that everyone that works for us, are of the highest level, highest quality, Yeah, so I think that's kind of where I would like Myo to be, and I think Myo will get there.
Yeah. So much of what makes this special right now is I really feel like we're building a one-of-one company. Like I can't look across therapy, health and wellness, healthcare, and say this company is sort of similar to what we're doing. And I think the vision is so much not only bigger, but just global, right? And it takes time, right? Our earlier conversation said we used to have no strategy and said yes to everything. And, we've had a lot of opportunities recently to, expand into other countries, and that definitely gets us excited, but there's going to be a time and a place. And I think being really thoughtful over the next 5 to 10 years and making sure the leaders that we are nurturing today are the leaders that are going to go and open these markets. We're talking about one of our team members today that wants to go open Dubai, and it's such a straightforward path to do that. It's just when we are ready. But when all is said and done and we look back, I think the impact will be global, and it will be, we talk a lot about why we're all here, and it's just to have this positive impact on the world at scale. And to do that, I think it's going to be a pretty significant company by then.
Goosebumps. It's exciting. It's exciting. I think it's an incredible interview, incredible story. I appreciate y'all carving out time so we could share the story with the world. Everybody, whether it's coming your way or not, it's coming your way. So yes. I think it's important that people know our story, our team knows our story. They're not all going to be able to get to meet the two of you. So I think it's incredible to be able to share that story with them so they can feel where this thing started from, the path that y'all paved. It wasn't an easy one. I've seen it every step of the way. It was not easy. And, I know I can speak on behalf of the team. I really appreciate both of your just commitment, discipline, consistency, just showing up. Earlier we were talking about you, driving in a snowstorm to New York just for one meeting, not even know where that meeting might go, just because it might create space for our team to do more, to have opportunities. It says so much. I mean, we have so many stories of, things that you've done. We're like, again, sometimes I scratch my head. I'm like, I don't even know how Vin's doing that, but like, I can, go through the tree of what that seed that you planted created for this group, this company, and Myodetox as a person. So I really appreciate both of you, and sky's the limit. Building something exciting.
Feelings are mutual, man.
Yeah,
man.
Same.
Been on this journey since day one with us. So.
Yeah.